I'm about to give you a review on one of the most epic movies in existence. And that movie, of course, is Toy Story 2. Fuck that shit, we're doing The Dark Knight Rises. The Dark Knight Rises. So The Dark Knight Rises is, of course, well, if you don't know what it is already by now, you're a fucking retard. But just in case you are a fucking retard, let's clarify. The Dark Knight Rises is the third and final film in the Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy, The Dark Knight Rises. And it's pretty epic. The Dark Knight Rises takes place about 8 years after where The Dark Knight left off. Batman is obviously pretty infamous around the city because he took the fall for Two-Face's crimes. So now, you know, he's kind of away. Bruce Wayne's, he's stuck in his house. He just doesn't want to come out. He's kind of a antisocial person now, if he wasn't already, that is. Jim Gordon's kind of, you know, trying to live with this lie, and for the most part, it's actually working well. The whole city's at peace, and everything's going swimmingly. But then, of course, Catwoman ends up robbing Bruce Wayne, and then that's kind of when Bruce Wayne starts going back in the Batcave, and he starts, you know, learning all about this shit. This is also when Bane comes into the picture. At the promo of the movie, which, yeah, is pretty epic, probably better than the Dark Knight prologue, believe it or not. You can see Bane, he's up to mischief, you don't know what's going on, and he's kind of this mysterious figure, no one really knows, you know, what's going on, and then he kind of just pulls the pin on the grenade and fucks literally the entire city up. Anyway, we got some new characters. Like I said, Catwoman's in this, Bane's in this. We got Blake, who's played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who's pretty awesome. He goes up and he like pretty much convinces Bruce Wayne to return as Batman because Jim Gordon kind of stumbled upon Bane's hideout, and now he's hospitalized, and the city needs Batman again because Bane's this huge threat. And that's kind of when the story gets interesting. We don't know whether he can actually return as Batman. It's been 8 years. He's walking around with a cane everywhere. How is he going to like put on the suit, get all that strength back, and beat the shit out of Bane? Because that's pretty much impossible. So as the movie picks up, yes, it is obviously a very long movie. 15 minutes longer would have been 3 hours long. But honestly, it didn't feel long. It kind of went by. I know a lot of people said that. A lot of other people said it was too long. But they also said that they didn't mind. How could something be too long when the whole time from beginning to end you liked the pacing? I think the pacing is pretty good. I mean, to some extent, it might be a little long to certain people. It takes about 50 minutes for Batman's first appearance in it, so yeah, it could go a little long for other people. But for those who've stuck with the trilogy and who have seen the other two movies, you're really going to love this movie and its character development, just the story development, and I have to say, it concludes perfectly. I could not have come up with a better conclusion. So moving back on, I think that's pretty much what we have to sum up the story. There's obviously a lot more. There's a lot of different story elements with each character, but we don't have to dwell on that. We need to make this review shorter than half an hour. Obviously, the performances, the cast, the directing, the visuals, the music, it's all just epic. Really, the only problem I have with this is, there's no denying, no matter how many plot holes I can fix up and explain, why they aren't a plot hole, there's still going to be a plot hole or two. Honestly, there's only a few. People go ahead and say there's tons of them, there's dozens of them. There's really only a couple. There's a lot that can easily be explained. I'm not saying I didn't notice them, I just didn't really, care about them. I just watched the movie and enjoyed the hell out of it. But like I said, the plot holes, very minor as they are, is really the only complaint I can give this movie. If it wasn't for plot holes, I could have gave this a 5 stars. To be honest, The Dark Knight is probably the only movie that's worth giving 5 stars. I could probably think of more, but just right now, it's the only movie I can think of as a perfect movie. So moving on, I don't know what else to say. The movie's like perfect in every way other than plot holes. The visuals are great. Over an hour of the movie was filmed in IMAX, and it just watching it on Blu-ray on a big TV or in the theaters on IMAX is just it just blows your mind. The sights, the way they can film it is just great. The special effects, because, you know, there's barely any digital special effects, and because of that, it all looks so good. The performances, as you know, expected, are great. You got bloody Christian Bale, Anna Hathaway, Tom Hardy, Gary Oldman, Michael Caine, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Morgan Freeman. You got a lot of great actors in this, and you know they all do such a great job at continuing. I mean, most of them have been in the last movie, so you can expect them to, you know, be great again. But this time you go a lot deeper into the you know, characters. This time you go a lot deeper into them and really tests their acting abilities. And in the movie, it really tests them to a level that you really think would be hard to do. And speaking of that, Tom Hardy as Bane, he has to have that mask on his face. He has to do all the facial expressions with just his eyes, pretty much. And that's something that I don't think I could be able to do as well as he does it in this movie. The voice for Bane, it takes a few minutes to get used to it, but eventually you do get used to it. There's a couple of times where you'll be like, like you don't understand him, but for the most part, you know, you get him. I like the voice. I think they did a great job with the voice and his personality. You know, there was a lot of ways to approach Bane, considering his origin, what he looks like in the comics and all of that. But I think they did a great job with making this Christopher Nolan's Bane. And the same goes for Catwoman. She's not the same as she usually is in, say, the other Batman movies or any of that. But yeah, she's definitely a good fit for The Dark Knight Rises. So I pretty much just covered a lot of things about how good this really is. Like I said, the story is really long, but not too long. In fact, it could have been 3 hours, and I probably wouldn't have minded. Now, the movie's been out for quite a few months now, so I feel like I'm free to talk about spoilers, and I actually do want to talk about them. When I first saw it, I said I really want to talk about these, but I just know I can't. Now it's actually been out for a few months, and I have seen the movie over and over again on Blu-ray. Yeah, I can give more of an in-depth review, even though most of the review was just saying the movie was awesome. And also include spoilers, so if you haven't seen it yet, just don't watch the rest of this video. Thanks for watching. And yeah, let's move on to the spoilers. So the conclusion, I feel like it was a perfect ending. It really, Batman or Bruce Wayne's ending, I feel they did that perfectly. For those thinking it was just Alfred's imagination, you're obviously dumb and you're just thinking of Inception, because no, that was clearly not imagination. That was obviously what did happen. We want a conclusion to the Batman series. Why in the world would Nolan do that? Make a debatable ending. That would be like the worst thing you could possibly do. And there's a lot of arguments supporting the fact that he is still alive. I also love the fact he faked his death. That was like, I honestly would not have thought of that, and I think that is a brilliant idea. I think like they really summed it up. I think the right people knew, the people who knew who Batman was, I feel like they got the right people for that. They got Blake, eventually Gordon figured it out at the end. Catwoman knew, you know, eventually. The way Bane died, I feel that was a very cheap death. I mean, so did everyone, but you know, he still had his moment in the sun, and although we all would have liked him to die in a more better fashion, if you will, maybe if, you know, when Batman was beating his mask in, maybe he could die from that, and then that would have been an acceptable death, but the way he went out was a little cheap. A lot of people might complain about the Talia al Ghul twist. I honestly like that twist. I was excited when I saw that at the movies, because I only just recently played Arkham City before I watched that, so that's when I learned a lot more about the characters in Batman. That's why I learned about Ra's al Ghul, Talia al Ghul, all of that. So it was a nice twist, and I liked it. I really did like that twist. It kind of, it made a lot of the seemingly plot holes, if you will, make sense. So that got rid of a bunch of plot holes by having her turn out to be the main villain, the one who climbed out of the pit. Basically, great conclusion. I feel like they couldn't have done it any better. And if they fixed up a few plot holes, then it definitely would have been, yet again, another spectacular epic. It already is. I'm just saying they're getting, you know, fixing up a couple of plot holes that, even then, they're not strong plot holes. They're just minor ones that might take you out of the moment. Personally, it didn't for me, but if they just fix those up, then it could have been on par with The Dark Knight. Honestly, what do I think's better out of those two? I have to say The Dark Knight. Obviously, it's a classic. Like I said about the Uncharted franchise for the PlayStation 3, it's the highlight of the franchise. We're not going to forget about it. But is The Dark Knight Rises better? Honestly, it's not. It's still great. It's a great movie, and it makes the trilogy feel like a complete epic set. This trilogy is a good trilogy all throughout, and in this day and age, it's a very hard thing to do. So props to Christopher Nolan, and I'm looking forward to Man of Steel because you're involved. And that's a very good thing. So that's my review on The Dark Knight Rises. My overall opinion, definitely watch it. Watch the other two first, though. I mean, you could probably watch Dark Knight without watching Batman Begins, but you need to watch those two before Dark Knight Rises, definitely. Amazing movie, definitely get it on Blu-ray, definitely watch it with everyone. This is definitely a movie you must own. The entire trilogy you should own, really. And yeah, if I have to give it out of 5 stars or out of a 10, I definitely would have gave it a 9 out of 10 or 4.5 out of 5 stars. So thanks for watching. What will my review be next week? I honestly have no idea. Yeah, I'm sorry for it being a day late, but shit happens. I was pretty busy all day yesterday, so yeah. So tune in for next Tuesday for another movie review on God knows what, and see y'all.